Hey Rail fans, this is Bob from the Bob's N-Scale Man Cave. In my last video I gave you a review of this Proxxon hot wire foam cutter, Thermocut 12E. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tunnel out of this pink insulation foam. This is a 2-inch foam, and I have some scrap pieces that I'm going to make a tunnel out of, all in one piece. This tunnel is going to be covering my track, this piece right here that goes from the man cave to the bedroom. And I'll be putting that on this foam, tracing it out, and then I gotta make it thicker by gluing some other pieces of foam onto it to make it a little bit thicker so I can cut through it and be the right height. Because it is going to be a little bit higher than 2 inches. So I need a 4-inch piece to work with and have a 3-inch depth of my tunnel. Plus a little notch that goes in there so that the board sits down inside the tunnel. And then it'll be about 2.5 inches, somewhere 2.5 inches deep, so, or tall, depending on how you look at it. Some of the tools that I'm going to use are this Sharpie marker to mark my lines with on the foam. And then when I get ready to glue the two pieces together, I'm going to use this 3M polystyrene foam insulation glue. It's a spray glue, spray adhesive. I got this at Menards. You can get it at any of the Home Depots, Lowe's, general hardware store that you have in your neighborhood. But this is what I'm going to use. And of course, after I get it all put together, the Proxxon hot wire Thermocut foam cutter. Okay, we're going to get started outlining the actual board that I'm going to be covering up with a tunnel. So just lay the board facing down, because we're doing this all upside down. And go figure, my neighbor's out there with her weed eater or something making a bunch of noise. I may have to go get rid of this person. So, can't you tell I'm recording? And they'll go, no, I can't tell you're recording. Your garage door is shut. But you know, it's the way it goes. And you gotta be cordial. Okay. I have that shape cut out, or drawn out. As you can tell, I have some extra lines on here from a different tunnel that I was thinking about making on this one. I didn't use this piece, obviously, but I'm going to use this piece for that other tunnel. So what you want to do is, when this board sits down on the inside of here, part of it is going to be overlapping on the outside. So you need it actually wider than your board, so you have some sort of lip to rest on the outside of it. So I left about a 1/2 inch or so, maybe 3/8 of room on the edge of the board. So I've got this whole area over here is going to be saved. So on this side, I don't need it to go all the way down to the end on the ends of the board, but I do need it on the sides. So I'm going to kind of like a hand draw a gap I want. Now you could use a straight edge or whatever, but you know, That's up to you. Me, I'm just going to kind of freehand it, because it really doesn't have to be that accurate. It's going to be on the inside of a space that no one's going to really see. Anyway. Okay, on this side. Thicker. Okay. Now I pretty much know where I'm going to cut my lines at with the foam cutter. When I get time, or when I get around to doing that. Okay, I found two scrap pieces that I need to glue together and glue to that other piece that I was just working on, that I drew my lines on. This will basically be the top half of the tunnel, but when these two pieces, I didn't have a solid piece that matched the whole thing, so I'm going to glue a couple pieces together. One thing you need to make sure is the two edges that go together, whenever you're buttoning them together, need to be on the edge of the brand new piece of board that you had. So if you got a nice straight flat edge, those two should be put together. And that's where I'm going to put it together. I'll spray some glue down on this, lay the other piece down on top of that, and it'll be glued together. Make sure you do this in a well ventilated area. Okay, you leave this drying for about 2 or 3 minutes before you lay it down on the top of that, or you can also spray the other side too. Okay, let's put this down on top of that. Just press it down and it's glued. I let it dry for a little while before I cut into it though. Okay, I've let this dry about 15 or so minutes. It's pretty solid. I glued a couple of other scrap pieces on here just to get some of that extra glue to not be so sticky, or where I want to put something or put my hands or something. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wire cutter, basically a foam hot wire cutter. I'm just going to put this down, and I've made a shape about 3 inches deep from the top down to where it bends, or where it basically attaches to this cutter. So when I get it deep enough, the foam will touch the end of this holder here, and I know roughly how deep it is. So let's get going. So I cut right on the line. It's not really on the line at this point. Because what I have in this area is not really going to be part of that tunnel. You kind of want to slowly drag this around. I'm going to pull it straight out. You should really do this in a well ventilated area if you can. And the piece comes right out. Now I've got a hole in here, but I really don't need anything on that area. Because right about here, it's going through a wall. So I really don't need any tunnel piece right here because I'm going to build a different kind of tunnel there. So roughly where this mark is where I want the edge of my board. Okay, I've got a correction. I started going off the edge and I didn't want to go off the edge. But what I want to do is where I drew my lines, where the edge of the board is going to be, that's where it's going to sit down, but I need to make my tunnel about maybe ½ inch in, maybe not ½ inch, a ¼ inch in, somewhere in there, in between there, from where the tunnel is, because I'm going to have to take and cut along the edge in here to make that little notch. So it'll sit down in that notch in this area, not on the outside. And I kind of made a little boo-boo there, but that's the beauty of having foam. You can redo this all over again if it doesn't work. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of what it's supposed to look like. So here we go again. Trying to keep your distance away from the actual edge, and we'll try this again. Okay, I had to adjust the width of my wire here so it wasn't as wide, because this board is going to be a little bit narrower. You want to move kind of slow because the wire will bend if you go too fast. More expensive wire cutters or foam cutters would go a little bit faster because they heat up the wire a little bit hotter than this one will. Okay, one thing you should check is the depth of your tunnel. And this one should be about 3 inches deep. And it's not quite there. In the center it should be about 3 inches deep. And it's about maybe 2 3/4 deep in some places. This one over here, right there, a little bit more than 3 inches. So I probably went down just a little bit too far there. But it's still good. Still good. Because I'm going to be notching it out to a certain depth, so it's the same width as my track board. So yeah, I still have some more carving out to do to get that down to the right place. Okay, I have got my depth where I want it. I have to do a little bit more cleaning up to make things a little bit more straighter. I'm going to worry about that after I get my notch put in to the edge of the foam, where that board's going to lay down inside of it. Now, since I got my outline of where that board is going to actually be the edge of, that's where I'm going to cut. I made myself my little knife blade with this nichrome wire. I'm just going to cut through it down about ½ inch or so and see how it works out. I'll just go along the whole edge until it's all cut. Just rough estimating how far ½ inch is. And what you do now, after I got that one slot, just go down about ½ inch for the width of this board or whatever board you're using. And go in so you hit that notch that you just cut in there. Just carve it out. And you pretty much got the gist of it. I'm going to finish the rest of this off and not bore you with all these extra details and watching it. So I'm going to finish the rest of it up and show you the completed process. Well, it looks like I've got my channel dug, and all I got to do now is check and see if it fits. And it fits. It sits a little bit higher than I want it to sit, so that's still pretty good. I might have to clean a little bit off. Use like a wire brush, stiff wire brush. We'll scratch out any of the loose pieces. It does make a little bit more of a mess than cutting it by wire, but it does clean it up. Because when the wire goes in there, it kind of puts it down at an angle. So this inside part is actually taller than where you probably cut it out at, straight down. So trimming that all out makes it sit down a little more flush with this corner edge that you want to sit on. Well, we pretty much figured that out. Next thing I'm going to do is cut off the edge and cut out the section of the tunnel that actually is going to be in the tunnel. And that's the next thing we got to do. Well, there we have it, rail fans. I have my new tunnel. It's all cut out. Doesn't look pretty. I mean, it's got some rough edges on it and stuff like that, but that's how it's going to go. But no one's going to see this outside of it. It's going to be stuck inside a covered up ceiling, and this is just there to make it look like I really have a tunnel. And it'll fit right in there, just like this. There you got my tunnel. Still got a little bit of cleaning up to do to make it more flush, but all in all, that's what it's going to look like. That's how I'm making a tunnel. Now you can do the same thing, or you can make your own the only way you know how to do it. You can do it in sections. You can do it more cleaner if you really want to. Depends on who's going to see your tunnel. But chances are, if you make this kind of rough, you're going to cover this up with more insulation anyway to make your mountain. And this way you can take the whole mountain off and you have a nice encased tunnel that you can actually decorate, paint, light it up if you want to, which I'm probably going to try and do. I'm going to put a little bit of ballast probably in there, or just paint up the walls, put some signs in there depending on what this tunnel is going to be for. This one's probably going to have a little bit of mountainous carved out rock kind of look. I'm going to have a couple others that are going to have more of a subway kind of look and it'll be a lot cleaner. And maybe some graffiti on the walls as well. Well, thanks for watching, and remember, subscribe to Bob's N-Scale Man Cave. See you.